My name is Elaine Grove. I'm an artist, a sculptor, and right now I'm standing in front of two of my war wagons. This is Montefeltro's war wagon. I got the idea for war wagons when I was in the Uffizi Gallery in Florence, and there was the double portrait of the Duke and Duchess de Montefeltro, painted by Piero della Francesca. And to my surprise, it's a double portrait. On the back, it shows the Duke and the Duchess, the Duke of Urbino, riding their war wagons. And I thought, what a great idea. Whenever Italy was city-states then, whenever one city-state would attack another, they would send out a war wagon, a very slow wagon pulled by oxen with a bell in it, so the neighboring serfs would realize that they were going to be attacked. This is different than today's politics, I suppose, but voila, my war wagons. This particular war wagon is called the fire wagon. Interesting, the flame areas really came from when I was living in the city. They were adapting the curbs so that they could be handicap accessible, and these were the leftover curb railings, and I thought, I'm sure I could use that for something or another. Brought them here, welded it onto this base, and here we have another war wagon. Here I am standing behind one of my war wagons from 1994. This one is called Moon Phase. The moon, as we see here, is actually the top of a buried fuel tank or water tank that was on the property when we moved here. So this is a reference to a phase of the moon, and again here and here and here. And on the bottom here is a tamper, which is a hollow tube that you fill with water to tamp down either asphalt or driveway, gravel, things to solidify the ground underneath or the asphalt underneath you. Now I am segueing from our moon phase sculpture to the question I know you've all been asking yourself: what happened to the tank? Here's the answer. It's my outdoor shower, which is a working shower. What's great is you can take your shower, and since I back onto a preserve, I can watch the deer or turkey or whatever else is out there without them being afraid of me. This is another example of one of my war wagons. This is called main gear. See the main gear here? This was done in 1993. So we've gone from our war wagons of 91, I think, to 93 here. And we're gonna go and look at some other line drawings in space. Here we have one of my earliest sculptures that looks like a line drawing. This is called Food Chain, and it was done in 1991, and as is significant or usual in those early sculptures that I made, they have moving parts. This one has a little bit of a comic, kinetic air to it. It's called Food Chain. And you can see that this thing seems to be eating this thing is going to that thing. This one is getting ready to be swallowed up by the goblin over here. And in front of it is a later piece, one of the Floor series, and this one is called Relax. It looks like the pieces just kind of fell together and are relaxing on the ground. This is another one of my line drawing sculptures, and from a much later date, almost contemporary. It's from 2018, and it's called Line Dance. Different elements, and I don't know what all of them are. I think that this was some sort of a wheel for rolling up hose, and this is a hoe for digging holes, and it kind of looks like it's a dance. And here we have Clown Car. This is a piece that incorporates different cast iron elements. Cast iron is very difficult to weld because you have to weld it at either very high or very low temperatures and then let it cool in sand or just for a long time. This element here is a coal raker for a coal furnace boiler. This is one of those banks, where the hand would come feed the money in, and this is going along with my earlier works. Everything moves a little bit, and of course it's on wheels, making it easier to store and move. We come right here to Dragon Wagon. Now this piece, also a piece on wheels, incorporating different elements. Again, it's on wheels, and it bounces up and down. This one was a little bit earlier than the Clown Car. This one was welded in 1990. Now we're moving on to a different series of paintings. Most of these paintings, sculptures I mean, most of these were done in 2014. And these are, I call, the block series, because all of these incorporate, as a sort of homage, some of the blocks that my late husband Dan would set under paintings when he was dripping or spraying paint on them, so that they wouldn't be laying on the floor in puddles of paint. So you see a patina of dripped and painted paint. Almost all of it, in fact I think absolutely all of it, are acrylic paints. And I did a series of sculptures in homage to him. This one is called Workforce. And quite obviously, the different elements relate to work, and they all need some sort of force. You have to have a force hammering or chiseling or doing work. So this one is called Workforce. Continuing with the Dan's Block series, we have two examples here. This one, again using those blocks that kept the paintings up off of the floor when he was painting on them. This one is called, this one is done in 2015. It's one of the latest ones. And it incorporates a rug beater and the angled stones. And this is called Heart Beater. This one from 2014 is called 4-iron, referencing the iron that's on top of this. Again, the patinaed block of wood that looks. Continuing on the Dan's Block series is probably the latest one from that series, 2014, entitled "Do They Not Bleed?" Obviously a quote from Shylock from Merchant of Venice, Shakespeare quote. Some of the latest sculptures that I've been doing involve no welding whatsoever, or minimal, if any. And these are my wall sculpture pieces. They again look like line drawings, most of them, and are incorporating found objects that make beautiful line drawings on their own. The center one, I'm going to walk into it, incorporate two table legs from an old sewing machine. I love that idea. And of course, a saw. This had a touch of welding here and here. And I'm not sure what all of these elements are, but this looks like a ladle for molten lead. I have no idea what this is, but isn't it a beautiful line drawing? Again, this is another table leg. This is a 2018 piece of mine entitled Seat at the Table, which is on topic with the Me Too movement. As we go inside, you will see one of my sculptures called Killer Color Wheel, symbolizing the primary colors. Again, we have one of those ground tampers that you fill up with water and it tamps down the soil. This is called Killer Color Wheel because even though it sort of looks like a child's toy, it looks like a very dangerous child's toy because you have the forks and things circling around, warning you not to get too close. Here we have a little print from 2011 reflecting my sculpture that I just showed you, Killer Color Wheel. And if I want to blow my own horn, here is an article in the East Hampton Star featuring me and the Killer Color Wheel. I also have created different series of paintings as well. Here we see 6 different views of nearby seascapes. Louse Point, I think Louse Point are all of these as a matter of fact in this series. And over here we have a seascape near Blue Bay Camp, which is in East Hampton as well. Here we have a few examples of my paintings that are done on metal, sheet metal. And these 2 examples, they're on copper. The thing about painting on the metal surfaces is I some of the times use interference paint. That's paint with little mica flecks in it. So depending upon where the light source is, the paintings change from sunrise to sunset. Here's a few more examples of those paintings done with the interference paint. And as you can tell, depending upon where the light source is, it changes from a sunset to a sunrise. This is a series. There's 6 in this series. As you can see, it's either nighttime or broad daylight. Same here. Ooh, this one is especially brilliant when you again. These are a view of Montauk from Napeague. More. I grind down metal so that it's connected to bare metal. This is my arc welder. It's a very basic, simple little machine. But it plugs into a 220-volt electric source, which is a very high voltage of electricity. We've got 2 sources of electricity. One's coming into the rod area. One is going from the machine. Protective gear. When I start to weld, I'll close my mask so I can see through, but my eyes don't get hurt by the intense glare. When I strike it, the electricity arcs from one to the other, and that's what causes the heat enough to melt metal. We'll see if it works. Once you get the arc going, you just circle around and make a bead. If I had had this and I wanted to weld it to this tabletop, I would have run the bead around here. But I didn't want to mess up my tabletop just for an example, so I didn't.